Hello, everyone. I do apologize about the glare on my forehead. My windshield's cracked, and the light's refracting off of it just right to kind of blind me in the face. Let's see if I can move forward some. Get out of that sunlight. Apparently not. The sun's just gonna be a big dick today. Okay. Cool. We'll sit over here. So today is more or less a channel update. By the time you've watched this, obviously, the events have already transpired. Okay, son. I'm about to punch my windshield. That's how fucking furious I am right now, but I know there's no point. Whatever retrograde's going on has definitely got me in a tizzy. It's definitely screwing with me. A lot's about to change for me. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. And I'm actually still kind of scared. But now that I'm getting closer to the end of the journey, I can kind of tell you the end of this one and the beginning of the next. So I didn't know I was doing this when I was doing it, but it was quickly brought to my attention recently. These last 6 months, I've made some very questionable choices. I openly quit my job because I was unhappy. It wasn't just I was unhappy, no, I was being manipulated, I was being fucked with. Like, it was bad. These people were literally doing things like I was proving, they were screwing with me. Basically, like, for instance, why did the store manager get locked out of the cameras? And then when I asked them, I'm like, hey guys, so I don't have access to the camera anymore. Everyone kept saying, well, he changed the password, they changed the password. I'm like, that's great, well, what's the password? And they're just like, it's like, okay guys, I know you're fucking with me. So it wasn't a simple, oh, I just don't like this job, I'm gonna up and quit. No, I was being lied to, manipulated, abused. Not physically, but... So anyways, basically I was being disrespected to a point that it wasn't worth the paycheck. And I know logically people are like, that doesn't make sense. Well, now you're hungry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Part of the problem has been I haven't been door dashing either. I've been truly trying to find a different way. Now, this is kind of leading based off that last video of patterns and broken systems. So I was talking about, in fact, I'm going to link it, how I've been going through broken job after broken job after broken job. Well, DoorDash was the only way to keep myself going. And I know this sounds absolutely crazy because I am essentially starving myself. But I've even stopped doing DoorDash as much. Why? Because the systems have been breaking down more and more and more to the point that I just can't. I can't. I am physically jobless, and I will very soon be homeless. And my family thinks I'm absolutely nuts because they're like, well, I don't get it. Why don't you work harder? Like, they expect me to go out and DoorDash from sun up to sundown to save myself. And logically, that makes sense. However, what I'm finding out is it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I've truly been trying. I've been trying on this system. I've been trying to make it work as it is. But ironically, the goal is to actually let it all fall apart. I can't put everything into words. I can't explain what's going on. But essentially, the universe led me to this point, and now I understand what I'm doing. I went into basement mode. I quit my job, and I've been... I just said the word the other day. I literally just said it in the last video. Basically, I've been sitting on my property, and I owe 2 months worth of rent. So that way I still have a home and I haven't been thrown out yet. But it's getting to the point I need to move out. Like, I know it's time to move. What's afterwards is I don't know, and it's just that's the fear of letting go. Kind of leading on from the last video, the reason systems don't tend to change is because people are afraid to let go of the old system. Everything I've done up to this point logically doesn't make sense, but it's actually been for my benefit. Because what I did was during those 6 months was I worked on me. I invested in myself. Because the Adam that went to that job every day fucking hated himself. In fact, I was ready to die. As many people are. I know I'm not the only one. I felt trapped, I felt like there was no way out of it, and I was in a broken system. So what I did was, quite literally, I led myself on this path. Like I said, I felt like I was being guided, whether that sounds crazy or not. So I got to the point, I quit my job, and I feel like I made a giant mistake. I was like, I followed some path, and now I'm jobless. I'm out of money. I fucked up. I'm screwed. I'm toast. But I'm like, I'm gonna end it here. But then the voice in my head, my voice, my intuition, whatever you want to call it, it's like, well, if you're already ready to die, why not give this a try? So I actually had an internal conversation, and I don't care how crazy this sounds. But I don't really have a therapist, and I don't have anyone to talk to. So I had an internal conversation. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, if you're really at a point that you're willing to take your own life, why not find something else? If you're truly unhappy with a job, spend these next however long you have figuring out another way. Work on yourself. Study. Spend what time you have learning and growing. Apparently that's basement mode. Basement mode is when you strip yourself down to the basic, most essential things. I still have Wi-Fi, so it's not technically completely basic, but it's exactly the same layout. I have a futon on the floor and my computer on the floor right next to me. My entire apartment is completely empty. The reason being is I kept thinking I was going to be thrown out every day. So I got to the point, if I was going to get thrown out, I didn't want to have to spend, a full day tossing shit and not wondering where I am when I could have used that time to figure out where I'm going. So I basically summed myself down. I mean, I haven't even been working. I got to the point I've had to been asking people for money. And I know if they're watching this video, it's probably really going to piss them off. But even DoorDash started breaking down. The system isn't working anymore. Like, I can't do it. Like, it's not worth it. It's actually gotten to the point it's not worth it. Like, I had to drive I was in a car for 45 minutes for $2. At first, it seemed feasible. I quit my job thinking DoorDash was going to work and I could do it. But after working DoorDash for so long, I realized the system is just falling apart. The app is so effing glitchy, it doesn't matter which phone I'm on. Half the time, it's so frustrating, like, I got stuck in a car for 45 minutes at a shopping district because I walked into a building and lost signal for 45 minutes. I don't even know how that works. Like, it was a strip mall. I went into like a JCPenney or something, it wasn't even a deep mall, it was literally like a strip mall. It was like a clothing store, and I walked in, and I lost signal for 45 minutes. And I literally had a DoorDash in my car. And I'm like, I can't deliver this because of a faulty system error. The system itself is breaking down, and I can't do my job because the system isn't working. Okay? So DoorDash even started effing up on me. And it got to the point that it was just absolutely draining me. And I'm making no money whatsoever. So I was literally spending my gas, trying to make money, literally digging myself a hole. Because again, it's like, okay, well, sure, maybe I can make some decent money, but then it started getting really stupid. Like one day I had to go into HEB, and if y'all don't know what it is, y'all could tell from me saying that word. I'm in Texas. HEB it's a prideful store. In Texas, people are very prideful. So HEB is one of the stores that it's Texas owned and it's only in Texas. And you can imagine, just like Buc-ee's, the store is crammed packed. Like, I literally can't T-pose without smacking someone in the face. And for an introvert like me, it's like, oh fuck, I am never coming back to this store. Literally, when I was delivering the person's groceries, I was not meaning to be rude. And I'm like, yo, I've never been in an HEB, and I looked at her and go, and never again. I will never go back. It took me about 30 minutes just to shop, and it took me about 20 minutes just to get through the fucking line. You know how much I made on that order? $20. Oh, and it was 20 minutes away. So after an hour, I made $20. They're like, oh yeah, no, that's normal. In fact, you should be glad you made $20 for an hour. Okay, you're right, maybe. However, in my mind, that amount of work was not worth it. I'm sorry, but holy crap, that was not effing worth it. Because you didn't just get like 5 things. It was a cart. It was a fucking cart full of groceries. Okay? So that's when it really comes down to it, is whether or not you decide whether you're worth it. Was that $20 really worth sitting in that store for fucking 45 minutes? No! No, it was not. So then you're like, okay, well, Adam, how are you going to eat? How are you going to make money? I don't know. And that is, unfortunately, the god-awful truth. I don't know. Alright? I have been suffering. I am hungry. I am tired. I have been having to beg family members for money. But by fucking God, I have to do something else. I have to find a different way. Fuck the system. Not that I'm angry at the system. It's just, I want a different way. I want a new system. When you're playing a video game, what do? Do you keep playing the video game because the parents told you to? Like, for instance, you're a kid, and you go buy a video game, and it's only one that they buy you. It's not one you want. Well, then you sit there and you keep playing the video game. And then you're taught, well, be grateful, because it's all you have. You know what? I am grateful. Alright, I am. I truly am. But I'm allowed to be grateful, and at the same time as want something else. Wanting something else is not being ungrateful. Okay? I am extremely grateful. Like I said, I'm actually on that fence, I'm not gonna lie. I had to go to a food shelter this morning. That destroyed me. That absolutely destroyed my pride. I actually cried leaving. But regrounding, there's the restriction that kicks up, and it's like, well, the lack of freedom kicks in, and I get a little angry. And it's like, I don't have freedom. I didn't get what I want. You know, I would like maybe a sandwich or a barbecue, or, you know, so I want something. So then that contrast kicks in, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't get what I want, and I'm not necessarily ungrateful, I didn't get what I want. But, by God, I can tell you, I am so effing grateful for those English muffins I got, because I have yet to eat today. So it's that simultaneous struggle of fear and disappointment of not being okay with the situation I'm in, but at the same time of learning to be grateful. In fact, this seems so counterintuitive. Literally, my family thinks I'm insane. They're like, why would you do this to yourself? And the answer is so I could grow. The matter of the truth is, growth comes from suffering. Only when someone finally decides to stand up and say, I'm done. That's when growth decides to happen. But it started within me. I started with saying, I'm done being the person I am. I don't like my reality. I don't like who I am. So I went inward. Yes, I have been struggling, but that struggle has shown me who I am. It's shown me the parts of me I do like. It's shown the parts of me that I don't like. It's shown shadows that I didn't even know I had. Hidden traumas, programming I didn't even know. I never even considered myself to have. For instance, someone who grows up in scarcity never really thinks of themselves as spoiled. Somehow I was simultaneously spoiled and yet still didn't have stuff. And I don't know, it's weird. So essentially what I've been doing is I shut down the entire outside world and I said, okay, let's go within. And as I face struggles every day, gonna be honest with you, this isn't one of those motivational speeches. The reason I put myself through this is because through those struggles and through those challenges, I learned. I grew. Because again, if everything's peachy keen, if everything is peaceful in paradise, there's no room for growth. How are you going to grow when you know nothing other than peace? So I put myself in a really effed up situation. To the point where I eat maybe every couple of days. I am becoming malnourished. But that's the thing. Through these struggles, I'm learning. For instance, I've always eaten a lot of sugar. I've loved sugar. Who doesn't love sugar? But it's not necessarily the best thing. So, for instance, how do you learn to eat properly? Well, first off, you go without food. Why? Because that purges everything out of my body. I have been detoxing for months. And how I know it's actually working? I like cilantro. There's a study that cilantro pulls out metals and negative compounds within your body. So there's two types of people when it comes to cilantro. Either you love it or you hate it. Like most things in life. But the reason you hate cilantro is because your body is having an adverse reaction to it. It's because your body's literally like, ew, get this away from me. You're so used to gunk that when you actually try to put something good in you, your body's like, I effing hate this. It actually perceives it as a threat. So now I'm actually at a point cilantro's starting to actually kind of taste sweet. It's kind of weird. I've never experienced that. That's why it's weird. So now my body's purging. The lack of eating, well, guess what? I haven't been able to cram sugar in my body. Ironically, with less food, I've actually been functioning better. Why? Because there's less shit in my body. And quite literally, less shit. Actual shit. Like, it really dawned on me one day when I'm going to try to do this in the least graphic possible way, but when the output doesn't match the input. Like, I'm basically pooping more than I'm eating. And I'm like, that actually shouldn't make any sense at all. It's like I shouldn't be pushing this much excrement out of my body when I literally haven't eaten for 3 days. Like, how? What? Okay. So hunger is actually teaching me how to feed myself. Because now it's like, okay, well, now I'm actually feeling better that I'm not eating as much. But simultaneously, I feel like shit because I'm not getting my body what I need. So now that I've noticed I've been purging stuff, what do I actually need? Interesting. Okay. Well, and on top of that, budgeting has never been a strong suit for me. I learned from the master. And the master currently is living in an RV at an age of 60 without a penny to his name. That is not meant to be a judgment or slander, it's just a state of fact. This man who did not know how to handle his finances, well, now he's basically homeless, almost. The only reason he's able to survive is because he's liquidated his assets and managed to live off of that. However, the deal is not to judge him and say that's bad, it's just now he can't get himself out of the situation. Because he never learned to budget and he never learned to handle his money. Well, guess what? When you're not making a lot of money and you're not eating, then there's still things like laundry and food and electricity and phone. Because even if I'm not paying my rent, I was still paying electricity for a little while. You learn how to manage the money you have. So I put myself in a dire situation where I have no money. Well, guess what? Now I'm learning to manage it. Guys, I never claimed to be sane, okay? I fully acknowledge, you know what? I'm not crazy. You're crazy, okay? Einstein says insanity is waking up and doing the same thing and expecting different results. Everyone wakes up, goes to work, bitches about their job, and then goes home. But they expect different results. So yes, I seem crazy, but I'm not crazy. Why? Because I'm not doing the same thing every day. You're the crazy ones. You're the ones who are deciding to wake up every day and do the same thing every day. Get up, go to work, eat, go home, be unhappy. My method was a little more drastic, more or less. That's just kind of the person I am. I've always been, balls to the wall kind of guy, you know. That's just how I function and that's how I grow. Unfortunately, I grow through pressure. So putting myself in this situation was actually not an act of insanity, but it was actually an act of pure genius. Now, you're like, well, how is that pure genius? You have nothing. Not true. What I have is myself. Sorry, I had a bit of emotion well up there. Probably should have let that out, but we'll deal with that later. What I chose was against all odds, I chose myself. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but I did. Like I said. Because coming out of this situation, even if it looks like I have nothing, I actually have everything. I have everything I need. I am twice as smart as I was. Twice as wise. I have an understanding. Or I like to believe I have an understanding. That's different than I did years ago, because that's what understanding is. It's a constant flux. Understanding is ever changing. That's why we never truly know anything, because every time we think we know something, we learn something new. So what I did was I basically forced myself into a box. And said, okay, now get out of the box. I made a gamble. And I bet on myself. I believed in myself. Even if quite literally the world around me is telling me that this isn't going to happen. That it's not possible. I'm going to make it happen. I don't care. In fact, let's spend one of my superpowers, making the impossible possible. It started when I was a kid. Here's some sappy story. The message is officially over, but if you would like a sappy story. I actually don't think I've told this one on my channel yet. So obviously, for those who have been watching the channel, they know I'm disabled. But it goes much deeper than that. I essentially was told I should not be alive. In a healthy sense, sort of. Let me just get to the point. It was the 90s. In fact, I may have actually told this story before, but it was the 90s. And I didn't have an esophagus. I can't explain it. But my airway was shit. Or almost non-existent. I was born with 40% lung capacity and I couldn't breathe. I had asthma. The scar on my neck is a trachea. They actually had to put a bubble in my throat to keep it open and help me breathe. There was also one that was in my stomach that I had to use to feed because I couldn't swallow. So my dad was offered a solution. Let me die on the table, or do a very extremely risky procedure that shouldn't work. They told him it was an experimental procedure. I said, okay, do it. Like, if you're gonna lose them. I don't know how much my dad dramatized it up. Because, of course, you know, for a father, it's very dramatic. Losing or about to lose your kid. So I'm sure there's a lot of emotions when he told me the story, but essentially, the surgery shouldn't have worked. What they had to do is they took a bunch of cartilage from my rib and they made me an esophagus. And they removed this tube in my throat. In fact, I remember all the surgeries. Sorry about that. Absorbing some unfinished hospital traumas. So basically, they grafted my esophagus out of rib cartilage. And they said it was literally extremely experimental. In fact, they didn't even know it would work. They guessed. Well, it worked. I pulled through. They told me, or they told my dad I wasn't supposed to live, though. If I did live, I would never talk. And then if I was lucky, I'd probably live to about 10 years old, because my immune system should fail. I was not a healthy baby. So they basically told him I was doomed to die anyways. Whether my family believes me or not. I remember sitting in that hospital bed. I was probably about 2 or 3. I don't know. Like, I don't honestly know. I was obviously old enough to remember. I don't know. But right after the surgery, my dad came back with my older sister. And they saw me in the hospital bed. I sat up because he had a shirt from the gift shop. And I sat up and I go, Batman! And my dad's just like, yeah. I still remember the shirt. It was Batman on a multicolored shirt standing in front of a sunset with a bunch of bats flying off in the distance. And the doctors are literally like, did he just talk? The fuck? So that is where the impossible story begins. I should technically not exist, but I do. We're gonna get a little weird here. That's, it's been a superpower I have that I didn't know about. Honestly, I thought something was wrong with me, but due to that weird glitch, I am a glitch in reality. I'm going to sound fucking crazy. I am a glitch in reality. Nobody gets that. I can't explain it, but growing up, technology, I thought, used to hate me because it would always glitch out on me. All the time. All the time. Like, I physically can't play video games without them fucking up on me. Like, it got to the point my friends literally wouldn't let me play their video games. We joked around and called me a computer virus. Like, Halo, or specifically, like, Bethesda games. Any games with a lot of bugs, I managed to find every single fucking one of them just by playing. Like, I'm playing Halo with my friend at the time, and we're walking in this really intense scene, and we're playing co-op, so it's like we're in the same room together, split screen, before online gameplay was really popular. So I'm sitting in the room with him, and my character's running, his character's running, my character falls through the floor and dies. And in that game, when you have an unexplainable death, it's written off as being killed by the Guardians. So, like, normally the game goes, oh, so-and-so got squished by a car, like it likes to be inventful, and say so-and-so got smacked by a enemy. Like, they'll actually give out descriptive deaths. But when there's a death that just doesn't make sense, they call it killed by the Guardians. And, literally, I'm not joking, every time I played games. This was in middle school. Sorry. So in middle school, we were playing Halo 1, Halo 2. And again, I'm just running through this really intense scene, and I fall through the floor. And my friend literally is just like, where'd you go? You died. It's like, yeah, I fell through the floor. He goes, how? I was like, well, there seems to be a hole in the floor. Like, not figuratively, but like figuratively. Like, in video games, you actually have to make a collision. Because if not, it's just a ghost touching a ghost. You essentially have to make a physical, invisible wall in a game to create collision. So, sometimes it just doesn't mash up right, and there are holes in the system where these collisions overlap, or it's just non-existent. And when it overlaps, it creates, ironically, holes. And that's what beta testers do, is they physically go around and touch base on these games. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. So I keep falling through this hole, and my friend's like, there's no hole there. Literally, he comes up with me. And I was like, it's right there, like on this crevice right here. Step on it. And he goes, do-do-do-do-do, and he's like all dancing on it. He goes, there's nothing. Legit, he's standing there, his character in-game, watching me, watching my screen. I walk right up to that point and fall straight through the map, and he goes, what the fuck, dude? It's like, I don't know, okay? I don't know. One time I was playing with my friend Phil, playing Mortal Kombat. And all of a sudden, I'm just pulling out these moves out of nowhere. And he's literally like, wait, how the fuck are you doing that? I was like, I don't know. As of this point, he doesn't exactly have a computer in his home yet, so we started using Google. But we looked up on Google and we're trying to figure out, like, what special move I did or whatever the hell I did, and comes out I just glitched the fucking game. And we're like, no joke. I glitched reality. And you're like, oh, haha, you glitched a couple video games. No. Reality is pretty glitchy too. Especially lately, as I've been kind of doing my own thing. Things are getting weird. I was driving down the street, and I saw a jogger jogging backwards. And that's not that weird, necessarily. Because, I mean, you can do it. There's good, good exercises for it. In fact, you see people on a treadmill walking backwards all the time. So unless this guy was extremely confident that he would not get hurt because he was on the incoming side of traffic with his back facing traffic, walking on a sidewalk that was jagged as fuck. So either this guy was extremely confident he was not going to trip or fall, Because he did not have the consistency of, oh, I'm walking on unstable ground. It looked like the dude was having absolutely zero issues walking backwards. Now again, that's not that weird. You could say that's just odd. You can say that's pretty weird. But then, and again, I can't prove any of this. But one day, I know how crazy it sounds. I'm driving down the street, and I'm just kind of chilling. And you know how you drive up past a housing development, and they have the signs that say Sherman Homes or something like that. I'm just kind of sitting there driving, and I look over, and the plaque is there, so that the background to the sign is there. But half the words were missing. And what I mean is, it physically looked like somebody photoshopped half of the words out. Like, the words literally just stopped rendering halfway through. It said, sure, hom. In a clean cut, too. Like, it wasn't oh, we broke the sign, oh, we, you know. Like, it was a clean, just straight up missing half the sign. And it's, again, my brain was logically running through it like, well, there wasn't any construction crew. There's no construction signs at all. In fact, there wasn't even damage to the sign, hinting that maybe it got in a wreck. Like, why would you repair half a sign? I was like, no, that was clean cut. I literally did like, if I wasn't driving in a car, I would have actually pulled over and taken a picture, but I actually did like 3 takes, and I even slowed down. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to look too much into that. I'm just going to keep driving. Okay. To wrap up this story, I'm just kind of being weird as of this point. Telling a little bit too much. Where I am, I don't know. To wrap up, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with the channel. I may just have to stop posting for a little while. My TikTok may actually just go dead. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm not sure what's going on in the future. Hopefully I have enough episodes. I'm pretty sure I have enough episodes posted through March, possibly even April. So hopefully I'll be able to figure out something by then. In fact, this video probably won't be seen until April. So, as of the point in this video, hopefully something better. I'm talking to myself. I'm creating one of those weird time loops right now. By the time this video is being seen, I'll already be in a better place. Not physically. I don't mean I'm going to be dead. I just know this is going to sound absolutely crazy. I don't like using the word God anymore because I'm not religious. And whenever you say God, people automatically assume Christianity. I'm not Christian. But whatever's been going on is I've been co-creating with the universe. I asked the universe for help, and it said, okay. And this path that I'm on has been the path of following these signs, these signals. Again, to my family, it sounds absolutely crazy. They actually think I'm dangerous. They told me I need therapy. Some of them did. Some of them agree with it. It's actually kind of funny how my family's split in two. I found out my family's actually watching my channel. I was not aware of that. But that's the thing here. I am being asked completely to trust and rely on myself, but the universe as well. Because I'm noticing these systems collapsing. I'm noticing that I'm struggling, and what I'm putting out is not what I'm getting back. I want a system that gives back as much as I put out. Fuck, I want a system I don't have to do shit. Alright? I want a system where I can just be me. That is not selfish to want to say I don't want to work, because I am so tired of it. It's not that I don't want to work. It's that I'm sick and tired of putting my time into something that gives me nothing. It's like a manipulative, bad relationship. They always take your energy. They always seem to take whatever they want from you. But yet, you get nothing out of it. Oh, sure, we get a paycheck. That's just fear. It's a whole system built on fear. I'm tired. I'm tired of living in a fear-based system. And since I haven't cracked, you know what's going to crack instead? The system's going to have to crack. Since I refuse to crack, the system's going to crack. Or I'm going to crack it. I don't care how crazy I sound. But that's exactly why I sound crazy. It's because I'm doing something different than what most people are doing. And anytime you do something outside of the social norm, you get called crazy. You get called a heretic. You get called dangerous. But again, insanity is waking up and doing the exact same thing every day and expecting a different result. You want to call me crazy? Fine. I'll be the craziest motherfucker there is. And then when you realize you like my kind of crazy, there'll be a book about it, and you can go buy the book. Actually, I am trying to help. Actually, I would like help. I want help to build this. Okay, I've got an eyelash that will not go away. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one who's tired of this system, who's tired of being tired. So if you made it this far in the video, I do need help. I want to forge a new way, but I can't do it alone. So anyone else who is tired with me, like I said, I'm not trying to start no fucking revolt. The system is very important. I'm not trying to make people think the system is evil. I just think it's time we play a new game. Instead of playing the game that your parents bought you and forced you to play, decide to play a different game. When you're like, well, I'm a kid and I don't have money and I can't buy my own game. That's where I'm at right now. It's like, okay, well, let's find a different way. If that's the case, how do I still get what I want without having to play that game? It's not necessarily trying to get what I want. It's just finding a different way. Well, for instance, I'm gonna go over to my friend's house and go play over there. How about that? If I want to play a different game, I'm gonna make it happen. That's all I'm saying. I'm sick of playing this game. I want to play something new. And nobody gets to tell me that I don't get to. Yeah. Let's play a new game already. Let's play a game where we all fucking win. You want to sit there and say that's idealistic and that's not possible? Kiss my ass. It's possible. But if you don't want to win, that's your choice. I'll make a game where everyone can win. But if you don't want to win, that's up to you. But winning doesn't mean you have to lose. The simple fact of winning doesn't mean that someone has to lose. So, let's change that. Let's create a world where winning doesn't mean someone has to fucking lose. If I win, why can't you win too? Why can't I share my win without you trying to take it from me? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? And that's part of the whole life journey. That's part of what I've been doing. Is figuring out why I don't have friends. Why I haven't been able to function. And then as I'm figuring out how I can't function, I'm also seeing how society doesn't function. So, I think that's it. I've said everything I needed to say. I finally got it out of my system. Like I said, that video's kind of been looping in my head for a bit, and I've been needing a emotional process. In fact, I don't even know if I'm going to upload this yet, so we'll see. I feel weak crying on camera. In fact, like I said, when I went to go to the food pantry, I was trying not to cry in the store. All the workers were sitting there trying to help me out, and she's like, all right, we'll come back and pick up food later. She's like, did you have food today? I'm like, no. She goes, just wait a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways, talking to you later. Bye. Going on random tangents. Like I said, I'm not really grounded, so my messages tend to be a little fluttery. I'm struggling today. It's been a struggle day, so have a good day.